Hey everybody. So I got the most amazing request to take some of the concepts and tools that we've been working with over the past couple projects and make them into a beach themed sunset. So today I'm going to show you how you can use the ideas that we already know about and silhouettes to make a beach style picture. So we're going to start like we always do by going down to the bottom and taking out our double puck. So you can see mine out there. It just makes working with our colors so much easier. For the background, we're going to start right up here at the top of our tablet, and we're going to find that paint bucket. When you find your paint bucket, we want to start with our linear fill. It's the second function once you select the paint bucket. Always make sure that tolerance is right about in the middle. Then you just want to click on your canvas. And if your linear fill is vertical, we remember that we can change the orientation of the fill by just changing around where those dots are. So you can see I just changed to put the dot from one side at the top and the dot from the other side at the bottom. Now I'm ready to go ahead and select my colors. To select my colors, I'm going to start by clicking on the dot. And so you can see the bottom dot here is highlighted in blue. That tells me I'm going to be selecting this bottom color. So now I'm going to come up to my color selector here, and I'm going to pick a color for this. And I'm going to have mine fade into like purplish reds. So I'm going to put my purplish red down there. I'm going to click over here to go ahead and get rid of that dot. Then I'm going to click on the middle dot, go back to this color selector, and select my next color. So I'm going to keep this one sort of pink. Now, when I was looking around, most of the sunsets that I saw had more than 3 colors in them. So I'm going to add another color by simply tapping along the dotted line. Now you notice that I have a brand new dot, and I can add a 4th color to my linear fill. So now with that dot selected, I can come back over here to my double puck, and I can go ahead and add my next color. So I'm going to add sort of a red in there. I want that red to be nice and bright, so I just changed its saturation. Then I can go ahead and click out here again. Finally, I'm going to choose my last color by tapping that top dot, going to the bottom of my double puck, and then selecting the color for that top dot. Don't forget, you can arrange how much of each of these colors is visible by moving these dots up and down. So now I have my background arranged so I have a beautiful sunset-like sky for the background. I want to go ahead up to the top and turn off my linear fill because I don't want to accidentally fill my page when I'm starting to draw. This is going to make that background appear down here. Now we know to protect things we're already done with, we come up to the top and we add a new layer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to use this layer to make some of the sea that's down here at the bottom. So the first thing I need to do is draw a line. If I come over here to my brushes, I'm going to choose my favorite drawing tool. And you guys know that that's this inking pen. Remember, if you're looking for your inking pen, pull out your library. It's that second collection called the Legacy Collection, and it's the one that looks like a calligraphy pen. Once you have your inking pen out, we're going to be drawing the water with this. So click on the bottom dot and just select a blue that would work well for the water. Once you have that done, we want to make sure that our horizon line is super duper straight. So up at the top, I'm going to slide this toolbar over until I see that wiggly line. That's my predictive stroke tool. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and turn it right up to 5 because I'm just making a straight line. Once I've set my predictive stroke tool, I'm going to come down to the bottom so I can see a little bit of this purple. We don't want too much covered up. And I'm going to draw a blue line that goes directly across the page. And you saw, even though it wasn't perfect, the snap tool is going to make it a perfect straight line. Now I'm going to turn that one off, and I'm going to scroll back over at the top here until I get back to that fill button. I'm going to stick with my linear fill. So you can see here, it's already that second one, and it's already selected. And I'm just going to come right down here, and I'm going to linear fill the bottom. And you notice it went back to those vertical fills. That's totally fine because I want to put a highlight on the water right down here. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to start selecting my colors. So I'll start over here. You can see this dot is highlighted. So now I'm selecting my side color. And for my side colors, I'm going to be selecting this blue down here. I'll click in the gray area to make that disappear. Then I'll come to the other side, and I want to select the same exact blue. So when I click here on my dot, you notice right up here on the right-hand side is this little dropper. If I select that dropper tool, I can drag it down over here to this blue, and it'll automatically select that blue again. So you can see here, it made it really easy for me to match both sides. Now we want to add that highlight in the middle. So I'm going to click on one of those middle dots, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to pull back out that color selector, and I'm going to put it on blue, except this time I'm going to click again over here so I can take that same blue and I can just lighten it up. So now I have a nice light blue for my middle fill, which is going to create a highlight coming down the water. I'll click in the gray area and move to my next dot, and I'll repeat the same process. I'll start by going ahead and clicking that dot so that I can get to my dropper. Only this time I'm going to put my dropper right on top of the opposite dot because I want this to be the same color as the other highlight. So now you can see it's sort of like the sun's highlight coming down at the middle right through here. Again, once you're done with that tool though, that fill tool, make sure you click again to turn it off. So you can already see now we have a great sunset in the background, and we have a really nice ocean going in the front. So now we're ready to add the rest of our details. And for the rest of our details, they're going to be in silhouette. So I have my inking tool out, except my color is too light to be a silhouette. So I'm going to click down here at the bottom, and I'm going to take away all the lightness of my color. And we remember when we do that, we're always using black. Oh, there goes the cuckoo clock. So I'm going to click in the gray area to make that disappear, and now I'm ready to start drawing. I'm going to come over here and make sure that my drawing tool is nice and thick. I can probably even get away with turning it all the way up. I'm going to keep it a little bit below the highest setting, because remember how we drew the ground when we were doing our shape silhouettes? We're going to do the same thing to draw the beach. I'm going to start about halfway up my water over here, then I'm going to have it gradually disappear and come off the page on the opposite side. We remember from those shape silhouettes that we want this line to be a little bit wiggly so it looks a little more natural. And then because I have such a large brush, it's easier just to go ahead and click there and color it right in. Now you can really see the depth happening. We have a foreground, we have a middle ground, and we have a background. Once you have all of your grounds selected, we're going to add in the palm tree. So I want to turn this down. So it's about the size of a palm tree trunk. Then, coming right here out of that beach, I'm going to make a palm tree branch that sweeps up this way. That's going to help me fill this empty space in here. So I'm going to come up, I'm going to let it wiggle a little bit, but come back this way. And then as I trace back down, I'm just going to remember that the base of trees is slightly wider than the top. And you can see I just used my tool to fill in. Now, I always talk about how it's very, very important to make sure you know how plants grow. So a palm tree actually has lots of little palm fronds that come off one middle stem. So I'm going to come back over here, and I need to make those middle stems. They need to be quite a bit smaller than my trunk. Once I have those middle stems created, I'm going to create that starburst effect that we're used to seeing when we see palm trees. First, I'm going to put two that come out of the top. Remember, trees Y out. Then, as I work my way around here, I can just add however many more palm fronds I want. You can already begin to see the shape forming. But each of these little stems has lots of palm fronds on it. So I'm going to take my size down just a touch more. And now I'm going to go right along these stems, and I'm going to fill in with each of those little pieces of palm. And you can actually do this pretty fast. So you can see here, I can just tap down, tap, 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 tap. And it's almost like I'm just drawing a feather. It reminds me a lot of a feather. But you can see you're starting to get the effect that this is a real palm tree. So I'll go ahead and I'll do the same thing over here. Again, thinking like a feather, how a feather is created, that's a lot like how a palm tree is. And remember, it's always better to let things go off your page than to try to make them smaller than they really should be. So I'm just going to let this continue right off my page here. One more to do, and I like how this is filling my space, so I won't add any more stems for the palm tree. The last thing that we need to add are the coconuts that would grow on the palm tree, and they're going to help cover up this part right up here at the top. So I'm just going to make this bigger so it's about the size of a coconut, and I'm just going to tap some dots down here. This is going to help to fill up that top edge in a really natural way. Once we're done with our palm tree, we run into that idea again that we've done a lot of work down here and we don't want to mess it up when we go to try to draw the chair. So I'm going to come back over here to my layers panel and I'm going to go ahead and click and I'm going to add a brand new layer. Now I feel a little bit more confident when I go to draw the chair and the umbrella. So I'm going to start with the umbrella. To make the top of the umbrella, you're going to come up here to this top toolbar, and right next to our paint can, you're going to use a brand new thing. This is the ruler. So go ahead and click your ruler, and it'll give you a couple of options. We want to select the middle option because we want to make a nice curve. Now, this is nothing like the curve that I want to make. So the first thing I need to do is I need to resize it and put it where I want it. So I'm going to click on this dot, and I'm going to pull them closer together. Let me use my stylus and see if that works a little better. There we go. I'm going to flip these around until I get a nice curve. So you see right in here, I have that great curve. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trace that edge. Once I've established a little bit of a curve, now I want to do some of these details down at the bottom, and I don't want them to be curved. So just like when we're using the fill tool and the perspective grid, I need to turn this off. So I have this beautiful curve here now. Now I'm going to do the details by taking down the size of my brush and then coming right across the bottom, and I'll put a couple of openings in there. Because this is a silhouette, we know that this is going to be a dark solid shape, and the best way to fill in this dark solid shape is with that fill can. So I'm going to just come right back up to the top here. I'm going to click my fill can, but I'm going to make sure it goes to solid fill this time. So I'm going to select the solid fill, which is my first function, and then I can easily fill in the top of that umbrella. I'll turn off my fill can and scooch over until I find that predictive stroke again. Remember, that's that wiggly line. When I click on it, you notice I already have it up to 5. I've been using it to make straight lines for this project, so I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to come over here and look at my size preview, and I'm going to pull down the size of my brush until it looks about like how big I want the stand of the umbrella to be. Once you've changed your size, you're going to come right over here to the umbrella, start just a hair above it, and pull it at a diagonal line down towards the sand. Remember that snap tool is going to snap it right into place. The next thing that we want to do is that we want to draw that chair, and the chair can be tricky. So I like to start with the wooden part of the chair because it's a really solid structure. And we just need to think about what we know about chairs. So the first thing we know is that it's going to have 2 front legs. So I'm going to make 2 lines parallel to each other at an angle. These are going to be the front legs of our chair. Once I've established those front legs, now I can draw the chair part. So I'm going to pop up here really quickly, and I'm going to turn off my predictive stroke tool. Now I can make a more organic form. It's not going to try to snap it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a little line that curves down. This is going to be the back of the chair, so it's kind of loose and hanging from each of the front legs. Now here's the trick to making it look realistic. One of these beach chairs kind of sweeps over and out and back up. It looks like a little horn. So at this point, go ahead and add that little horn. And notice that one side of it pops in front of the leg. Again, we know the easiest way when we create shapes to create a silhouette is to come up to the top, to grab out our fill tool, making sure it's on solid fill in black, and filling in those open spaces. I always like to zoom in so that I can really get the detail. Now that I have my body of my chair made, or the seat of the chair, I'm going to come back up, turn off my fill tool, and go back to my predictive stroke tool. Again, that's that line, because now I need to make the back legs, and they're straight too. So one of the back legs is going to come right off the middle of this curve and go down into the sand, and then it comes right back at an angle. So go ahead and use your predictive stroke to make a nice angle right there. The other angle is what this edge is connected to. So I'm going to come down from this edge back towards the sand and then pull another edge back up towards my chair. The final thing that we need to do is add some clouds in the background. So we're going to insert a layer in between our palm tree and our background. To do that, I need to make sure that my top layer is selected and then add a new layer as regular. But now I need to move this new layer down in between the palm tree and the background. I'm going to click and hold until I see it slightly enlarge. I'm going to pull it down 1 and pull it down 2. Now I literally have a brand new layer right in here. So now that my new layer is selected, I can add some really light clouds in the background. So we remember about that salty watercolor brush. That is the one that has the wooden handle and the fan at the top. If you're looking for it in your library, remember for you guys, you're going to find it way down at the bottom in your artist brushes. Once you have your salty watercolor brush, you want to lighten that color until it's white. So the quickest way to do that is just to click and hold on this dot and keep clicking and holding and pulling upwards until your luminance is at 100. That's the lightest value of any color. Now that I have my color, I can go ahead and I can put my clouds in right behind my palm tree because it's on a layer that's behind my palm tree. So I can go ahead and I can color back and forth. And I remember that tapping really helps me make sure that those clouds have some areas that are a little bit more opaque and then some other areas that are a little bit more see-through. And I like to add a lot of clouds in here when we're doing the sunset. They really just add a little bit of texture. But we know that things that we want to fall to the background, they need to be a little bit desaturated. They can't be quite as bright. So the best way to do that, even though you can't see your clouds on this layer because they're the same color as the background, you're going to click that layer one more time to open up the settings box. And we can just lighten up that opacity. When you do that, you're going to notice that the clouds in the background lighten up and we can kind of begin to see the color behind them. So put that opacity right in the middle. Once you're all done, go ahead and click in the gray area to make that disappear. Now you've used all the things that we learned in art class to make a beach themed scene, and it's really cool that we could add this great highlight right here in the water. If you want to merge them together so they become on one canvas, you absolutely can by clicking that top layer, clicking again, and then going to the second row to merge all. Just remember that if you don't merge them, you can still insert layers in between and add other things, but I hope you really enjoyed this quick little tutorial on how to do a beach scene. Don't forget to share.